Hey guys, I just wanted to update you on my carnivore video. Sorry, the neighbors are being super loud in the stairwell, as always, New York. Um, so I've been on the carnivore diet for 7 days. I'm on day number 7, and I'm not recommending this to anybody. I'm just sharing my experience. So I kept hearing about this on my chronic health forums, and when I heard about it maybe 15 times, it finally sunk in. Why not just try this for a few days? I don't have to go all in. I can just experiment and see what happens. Um, so this has not been like a miracle cure for me, but I do see some improvement, and I suspect if I keep doing it longer that I will see even more improvement. So what I did was I started off still eating a lot of dairy. I'm a dairy person. It's a power food for my blood type. So I started out with my normal amount of dairy, including milk, and then I very quickly tapered down. So I got rid of the milk within a couple days, and then I stayed with some cheese. And at first, I was eating like a lot of cheese, and then I tapered the cheese a bit because you're supposed to not eat a ton of dairy on this. It's mostly supposed to be meat, but I still love dairy. So I've been eating red meat, like ground beef, eggs, and of course, you want really good quality grass fed ground beef, and you want, pasture raised chickens for your eggs and organic and all that. Then I just went to Whole Foods actually. I can show you some of my stuff. I've been using this cream because it doesn't have carrageenan in it, and that's important. And this is essentially what's in butter. If you shake this up enough, you will make butter. And it is delicious. And you're allowed coffee, and I didn't drink caffeine for years, but I've been slowly working up to coffee, and now I'm finally up to the point where I can drink a cup of coffee and I don't feel caffeinated. I stopped doing caffeine because I read it was bad for anxiety. Didn't have caffeine for years, and then I see these studies that caffeine actually boosts your dopamine, or at least the type of caffeinated coffee boosts your dopamine. And I do feel like my anxiety was in part from not having enough dopamine, because when I had that first cup of coffee, it was maybe a fourth of a cup, my mood just instantly was boosted. So go coffee, go coffee, go. A lot of the info out there is just it's not black and white with science. Science, it's hard to figure things out, and studies are it's hard to narrow things down and really know what's what. So that's why, you can't just trust one study. You have to look at a lot of studies and then see how you react to things. Oh my God, cheese. And you're not supposed to eat a lot of soft cheese, but I'm doing a little bit because this is like a dessert. It's brie. So good. You know what? This one's actually not organic. Oh, well, I guess this one's not going to be organic. I usually get everything organic, but that one is not. And then, oops, I just didn't read the package for that. This was on sale, 100% grass-fed organic ground beef. And this is delicious. It has a lot of fat in there. Oh, it has a hair on it. That's gross. It's from a cashier. Or the counter, probably. Ew, I just want to wash my hands now. Okay, and then I went to Shake Shack, and it took 25 minutes to get my order because they made it wrong. They've made it wrong the last 3 times I've gone. I don't get it. I was so clear. So this is what I told them. I said I want 4 beef patties, well done, no sauce, fully cooked, no bun, just the patty, just the cheese. I said this twice. Just the patty, just the cheese. Do you want it wrapped in lettuce? No. Just the patty, just the cheese. I'm like, how much more clear can I be? And then 15 minutes later, my order comes and 4 burgers with buns on them. And I'm just like, this has happened so many times. I don't understand. And there was a guy waiting there. He was just waiting for a little ice cream, and he was there for over 15 minutes. So I was there a total of 25 minutes to get my 4 patties of meat with cheese on them. Anyway, that's the first time that I've gotten Shake Shack this week. Everything else I have cooked myself from scratch, except this morning. My aunt and uncle were in town and we went to brunch, and it was great because I was able to go to a normal brunch and I just didn't eat the potatoes that came with the meal, and it was basically like meat and eggs. Now, of course, with restaurant food, they often put sugar in everything. I've read they even put sugar in bacon, which is so disgusting. Why do they do that? They just ruin everything like that. So I don't want to eat out that much because they do tend to sneak stuff in there that I think could get in the way of like improving your progress. And I noticed that my head kind of hurt a little bit today, which I think might be from possibly them putting a little bit of sugar in that. I don't know though. Overall, this week has gone really well. I'm not naturally like a person who gravitates towards meat a ton. I usually eat it like a couple times a week. I'm more of like a dairy person, carb person, and with some veggies. I'm really shocked that I feel as good as I do. Like, I thought I would be having tons of cravings, and I was having cravings for dairy, which is why, I got all this cream and cheese and stuff. I'm really hungry. I want to eat my burgers. So I'll make this short. They're sitting right there. Um, and I did see a recipe to make your own ice cream using organic raw honey egg yolks that you slightly cook so that they get thick, but they don't cook. So it like kills most of the bacteria, but it doesn't make them to scrambled eggs. And then you put cream, you blend it, and you freeze it. Organic honey is really debated on the carnivore diet. I saw a YouTube video of this really like famous YouTube carnivore guy, and he has some really good videos. And he made ice cream like that, and that's why I did it, because I was like, that's a cool idea. This guy eats honey, and he's really healthy, and he's done carnivore like forever. So it's a personal choice if you want to eat honey or not. I guess it can kick you out of ketosis, which is an issue for people that want to be in ketosis for the benefits, like the health benefits or the weight loss benefits. And I decided I don't really care if I'm always in ketosis. I'm okay getting kicked out. Sometimes I'm not doing it for weight loss. I actually want to get more muscle because I get muscle wasting in my legs, which is one of my symptoms. And basically, my issue is that I was living in a water damaged building for 7 years, that really just my immune system was not working, and I just started getting pain from head to toe. And then I got Lyme disease and co-infections, very common for people that are living in water damage, because the water damage lowers your immune system, makes it very easy to then catch those infections. And that's what happened. I was able to get rid of the Lyme and co with the Stephen Berner herbal protocol, which is in his second edition book, second edition. And that's a paper book. Like, it's a printed book. There's no ebook for that yet, but I think there might be an audio recording of it now, which I can't imagine listening to that whole thing because it's so long. But some people do better, like with auditory. For me, I want to like see it on the page. But anyway, I followed that. I made my own herbal medicines. And it worked. And within 8 months, the Lyme and Co. was gone. I got rid of over 110 symptoms. Maybe it was 115. I can never remember the exact number. I like have it written down. And then my last symptoms were from living in the mold. But I didn't know there was mold because I couldn't see it until like the end of the 7th year. I finally started seeing little mold spots. Then I got asthma. I was wheezing. I couldn't breathe. And I couldn't walk for like a year. I could only walk for 30 minutes a day, and then my legs would lock up in this yoga chair pose position. My ankles are still locked up, so I have like Barbie feet. Still working on the ankles, but the knees are fine. So I still have a lot of fatigue. I still have my anxiety disorders, but I don't get panic attacks anymore. Sometimes I get depressed, but it's not nearly as bad as the anxiety is. And I also have a lot of trouble thinking sometimes on the left side of my brain. So if I have to do something like fill out a form or put something in order, like what order to do these tasks in, sometimes my brain just doesn't work. And I have to like wait for it to like come back online. my right side pretty much always works. I can always do like creative writing, creative stuff, communication, talking, understanding like people. That has never gone away from me, luckily. But that left side, um, and I think a lot of it's brain swelling because my brain does swell. I feel it. I feel a lot of pressure in my temples. My face twitches, as you can see. This isn't a facial expression, it's actually my face twitching because my whole face hurts all the time because my sinuses are basically infected from being in this moldy building. And when it goes away, it's like I actually have eyebrows again. If I go like that, you can kind of see. Like that would be my natural expression normally. But sometimes it gets bad and the whole thing swells and it twitches and I can't really do it, but I'll get like a patch here that sticks out like this much from my face. My eyelids get really swollen. Sometimes it sticks out from here like this much. And I feel like one of those dogs, that has the droopy eyelids. I have lots of other stuff. I can't remember everything right now, but so far, the improvements that I noticed were less pain, probably a third less pain, where normally I wake up in the morning and my whole body hurts, my head is throbbing. I have just random pain and like infections basically from head to toe, and it just, who knows, maybe I have an ear infection one day, maybe the next day my eye is like getting infected, then maybe I have a rash somewhere. I had like a huge rash on my back recently that I don't know if you can see it. It like went away. But this side is it all? I can't remember what side it's on. I think it's on this side. Can you see that? It kind of like scarred. It was huge. And it was really like just painful. So I get rashes. I used to get like head to toe itching, which is something that I see a lot on the people that got better with the meat diet often had itching, horrible stomach bloating to the point it looked like I was that Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, like just bam, all of a sudden. And it wouldn't always be from eating. Sometimes I would like intermittent fast and it would still happen. And I'm just like, all I've had today is water. How is my stomach huge? Like, just really weird. And also a lot of random stomach pain and feeling like parts of my stomach were like infected inside is what it felt like. So I suspect from living in mold for 7 years and reading about that, most likely a lot of this stuff is sort of like fungal infections or maybe even other infections from a low immune system. And I know I had asthma from the mold, and I think I most likely had aspergillus in my lungs because I couldn't breathe. I would wheeze for 8-9 hours at a time. I was like almost hyperventilating because I just couldn't, my breath was so short and it was very scary. It was very, very painful. Right before I left, I felt like I almost was dying. I was having a heart problem. Sometimes it would feel like my heart wasn't beating. My pulse would get very low, and my ankles would swell up. My legs would swell up. My whole body was swelling up, and it was the worst before I left. I remember there was this one night that I left, and my lungs would actually hurt more once I left the apartment because my body would then start trying to fight all of this, like, mold spores. So most people that live in water damage, it's not like they're infected with mold, but it's the mold spores that you inhale, and it's a toxin. So it's almost like the way if you inhaled a bunch of chemicals would hurt your body, but it's a spore. I think of it almost like an anthrax spore. That's what it seemed like to me. It was just so harmful. So I would go out, and maybe a couple hours after I was out, my nose would start running, my eyes would start running, and my lungs would become excruciatingly painful. And I think my body was trying to push out all those toxins. One time I was walking down the street and I had to double over in pain and I couldn't move for like 5 minutes. I was just standing there on the street like, oh my God, I can't move. It was really scary. And I would also start crying from the pain on the street. And it's like very embarrassing to cry in public, so I would try to do it like subtly so people couldn't tell. I would just kind of let the tear, go. That I haven't cried from like long pain since I moved out because it immediately improved a little bit, but I've just been so sick still. So back to what has the diet helped with. The bloating has been way, way less, and I have some photos on my Instagram showing that, like, for me, this is a lot less puffy than I normally ever was. And I mean, you can see I'm still a little bit puffy, but it's just not anywhere near what it was. It was at least a third to a fourth worse, and I'm only on day 7. My legs have been better, and they haven't gotten as swollen. My ankles usually get kind of painful and stiff and swollen, and my feet are still locked. My ankles are still locked, but they're not as swollen. I did wake up one day with my tendons popping out of my feet and legs, but that usually happens to me every few months or every couple months. It used to happen all the time. It's very painful when that happens, and I don't know exactly why that happened. I almost feel like because my tendons are infected and that's why I have this arthritis, it's like infection based, is what I think it is. I almost think that my body was like trying to fight it off, and the tendon sort of just popped out from all that swelling of like trying to battle it. That's just my theory. But then this one day I had so much energy, I actually danced for 5 minutes around my apartment, and I hadn't done that in months because normally I'm always in so much pain. Also, I normally can't go without wearing shoes. I wear wedge 3-inch heels all the time. I'll show you. There we go. That's what I wear because my feet don't go on the ground. And so normally I try to walk on the ball of my foot to like strengthen my calves, and within about 20 seconds my legs are almost shaking because I have so much muscle wasting and muscle loss in my legs that they're just not very strong, and I get a lot of like pain and weakness, and so then I have to step right back in the shoes and then it's okay again. That day I not only danced for 5 minutes with no shoes, I probably went for like an hour without wearing the shoes, and my legs were strong enough to handle it. I also noticed just less muscle wasting, even though I'm not really eating that much food. I'm not eating like probably as much as a lot of carnivores because I'm still getting used to eating all the meat and the fat. So I didn't want to dive into eating like huge pounds of meat a day or whatever. So sorry, I went out last night, so I was like yelling. Um, so I've been doing like cheese. So my stomach is growling because my burgers are sitting here, but that's the thing. I can go so much longer without eating. I'm sorry, this is so rambly, but okay, so I can go longer without eating. That's one thing. Before, when I was eating more carbs, I would have to snack, snack, snack. Every like 3, 4 hours, I would have to have a snack, which was improved because years ago, I actually had to literally eat something every single hour because my body was so messed up back then. And so that improved, but it's easier to intermittent fast because I'm just not as hungry all the time. And interestingly, I actually crave meat. I wake up like thinking about like ground beef, and like before I never really craved meat that much, maybe a couple times a week, but not every day. I feel really, really satisfied when I eat the beef that has a lot of fat in it. I don't drain the fat. I just cook it, and when the fat separates, I like pour it back over the hamburger and I let it soak in. I use sea salt, whole cream, the eggs, the cheese, and I tried some lamb. I wasn't so happy with it. I don't know if it was just that package. It wasn't all that tasty. And then this was weird. I had this bad experience with chicken. I've always eaten chicken and never thought much of it. I never felt bad from eating chicken. And something about just eating a bowl of plain chicken, it was like disgusting. And I felt terrible the rest of the day. Like I felt depressed. I felt fatigued. I started getting just upset for no reason. It was really weird. And I didn't want to even finish that chicken that I had some left over. I didn't want it. And so I actually went on my carnivore forum and asked, and there were a fair amount of people that also felt terrible eating chicken, and most of them have stuck to mostly beef. And no one exactly knows why. Some people said it might be the omegas are not quite the right ratio in chicken. Others said there's not enough fat in the chicken. I don't 100% know why, but I know I felt terrible and I'm not planning on buying any more chicken. Luckily, I only had the one container and I didn't stock up. I still have some more lamb. Yeah, I have the beef now, and I don't know. It's like I want to get meat patties from Shake Shack occasionally when I don't have the energy to cook, but I also don't really want to stand and wait there for 25, 30 minutes. The time before, I think I was waiting actually for 40 minutes because they messed up my order. So it's like that's a lot of time to waste. That's like almost an hour, and time is money. So if you're thinking like just standing somewhere for almost an hour is just such a huge waste of time. Like the amount of stuff I could get done, I could easily cook all my own meat for the whole day in that amount of time, and it would be cheaper. So things like that are a little frustrating. I wish I had some restaurants around me that were a bit higher quality. I'm going to look at the Chipotle ingredients and see if I get their plain meat, what's in that meat, because I know they add stuff, and I'm curious because you're not supposed to really have sauces and stuff, just plain salt. Some people do use seasonings, but if you think about it, a seasoning is a plant. So I don't want to get into using a lot of spices and seasonings because you're almost adding plants to everything, and I want to just not have any plants. It seems to help. So anyway, my inflammation is less, my headaches are less, I wake up with less pain, I have less pain throughout the day. I'm taking less of some of my natural stuff. I have all kinds of protocols things I do and stuff I take to deal with my pain and my symptoms, and I'm taking less of it. So that's really good. It's all non-prescription stuff. I use like peppermint essential oil, food grade supplements. That helps me a lot with my pain, reduces swelling. I do like turmeric, and I do pine bark and grape seed and red wine extract. I found that grapes really helped me so much with my arthritis and pain because it's complicated to explain it all, but in a nutshell, when you have infected parts of your body that are causing arthritis and they're infected with like fungal infections, things like certain berries can help to counteract the enzyme that makes that causes your tendons and legs to lock up. I think it's called catalase. I can never remember the name of it. There's two words that sound similar and I always get them confused. But anyway, it counteracts that. And so people use like cherry, what is it called? Tart cherry. That's the reason that works for arthritis, is it counteracts the fungal infection enzyme that's being sent out that causes your collagen to grow too tightly. And that's really why my ankles are locked. It's like a marionette. And it's like it's been pulled too tight because the collagen grew too tight, and that gave me the Barbie feet. Yeah, so I'm walking on the ball of my foot all the time for at least 2 years now, which is really crazy. But I'm determined to get rid of it. I don't want to have surgery or anything. I want something that's not going to weaken my tendons. I don't want to cut them up. I want them to just heal on their own. And I suspect when I fix all of these problems, I've been out of the mold now for 9 or 10 months. And, I still have a lot of problems, but I was also in there for 7 years. So I don't know how long I'm going to do the carnivore diet. It's not my plan to do this forever. I don't want to do it forever. I'm seeing it as kind of a temporary band-aid for the massive, massive inflammation that I normally have. And of course, anxiety is linked to inflammation in the brain. I can feel my brain swelling. It hurts and it presses and my temples start throbbing. It almost feels like my brain wants to explode out of my head sometimes. So I know I have brain inflammation. I know I've gut inflammation. And those two kinds of inflammation are really, really linked to anxiety. So Like I said, aside from the chicken, I really feel like pretty normal with just slightly less pain. And I suspect I should really eat my burger. It's like looking at me. The meat is looking at me right now. And that's the thing. It's day 7. I'm not sick of it. I'm excited to eat it. I just want to eat that meat all the time. This morning, I had like eggs and meat, and that was really good. I didn't feel deprived at all. It's great to go to brunch, not feel deprived. It was less weird than normal because normally I do gluten free, sugar free, and I have for years, but then I have to like really be aware of like, oh no, I can't have it. It has gluten in it. And it's kind of easier to explain to people just meat because people know what meat is and they know that you're not going to be eating like bread, right? But people get confused about gluten and they're like, oh, well, can you eat this bread? And it just makes like all this confusion and drama that I don't like. So it's just nice to have it be simple. And as I said, I've started drinking small amounts of coffee again. I've been using Bulletproof, which is amazing because it doesn't have the mycotoxins, which are the mold toxins. A lot of our food in the US is contaminated with mold toxins, and it's totally legal, but it's not good for your body. You can have some of the same problems if you drink or eat enough of these foods that have the mold toxins as if you were living in a moldy building if you have enough of them in a high enough concentration. And it's probably not going to be noticeable for you if it's just a small amount, but sometimes if you like have coffee and it has the mold toxins and you just feel terrible after, that might be a reason why. So anyway, I'm using the Bulletproof and I make it myself, but at brunch I had some with heavy cream in it. It was amazingly delicious. I love heavy cream. I could probably almost live off of heavy cream, but don't give me any ideas because I probably would try a heavy cream diet if I could. And that would probably not be healthy at all. So it was nice. I felt normal, like normal brunch. And I can still do lunch and dinner because I can eat meat pretty much anywhere if it's just plain and doesn't have sauces on it. Um, and I'm still going to drink a little bit of alcohol that doesn't have sugar or anything in there like that. Preferably organic and gluten free, but I do believe in the powerful properties of certain types of alcohol for certain kinds of problems. You might want to research that and see. It's not all bad, it just depends what kind of quality alcohol it is. I originally got into that for my asthma because people were telling me, and I was reading that certain things like whiskey can really help your lungs, and I was really interested to find that I did think it helped. And so I got some bourbon, and I still am planning to drink that. So I don't know exactly why this works, and I have so many theories. I have like 6 different theories of why it might work, and I probably forgot half of them right now, but one of my theories is actually that beef might be antifungal and antipathogen. I don't know why. Most people are eating organic, so it's not supposed to have antibiotics in it. But I wonder, organic meat, when I looked into it, they're not allowed to use antibiotics. They often use things like essential oils to kill infections in those animals. And I wonder if the essential oils maybe stay in the meat and then kill off infections in your body. Or maybe it's even some kind of weird thing of like, almost like a vaccine, and that if that cow fight something off naturally, maybe eating the meat of it helps you fight things off. I have absolutely no idea, but I've had like so many theories. I even was wondering if maybe like the grease in the meat maybe smothers certain infections and maybe they can't like live because they need oxygen to live. I have no idea if these things are right. These are just some of these random things that came in my head. And I don't know. The fact that it works for so many people, and it seems to be much more than just cutting out allergens. So, and also the fact that chicken, a lot of people don't feel good eating chicken. So I think there's something about the beef that's really special, and I'm going to see how long I keep doing it. I don't have any plans. I don't like to make myself feel deprived. So I like to choose everything I do as just a choice in that moment and do something that I really want to do. It's like right now I really want to eat that meat, I want to, look at my cheese and my cream and see what I want to make with that. I mean, you can't make that many things, but you can combine things. Um, or I could make my ice cream with a little bit of honey. That would be really good. Uh, so yeah, it's going well. But I just think that's the thing about like discipline. I was thinking about this for I'm a life coach, right? So I think about things like discipline. And I personally don't believe in discipline. I believe in just getting really clear on what you want and not having very much conflict within yourself about what you want. And then when you just do what you want 100%, you don't need discipline. Because discipline is really forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do. So I would say if it's something you don't want to do, you need to clear that up and make it into something you want to do. And you do that by getting clear on your reasons. Like, I want to be able to walk and put my feet on the ground. I don't want my stomach to puff up and be huge. I don't want my face to be twitching and spasming painfully and my whole body being in excruciating pain. I don't want that. So if I can just eat some tasty meat and cheese, yeah, I'm 100%. There's no part of me is like, oh, but I don't know. I don't have that. It's like a firm decision. So look for decisions that you can make 100% and then don't put too much pressure on yourself. So I don't have pressure on myself to like do this perfectly or do this forever or say like I'm not going to make any mistakes. I have none of that pressure. If I suddenly change my mind and want to eat a tortilla chip, I will do that. And maybe I'll go back to it, maybe I won't. But right now, I see no reason to eat a tortilla chip when I'm getting benefits on this. The tortilla chip is not even really that tasty. I don't want it. So anyway, I did gluten-free, sugar-free for I don't even know how many years. 6 years maybe. And it was the same thing. I never felt it was like discipline. It was just, I'm doing this because I want to feel better. I want less anxiety, and this is helping. Within a week of doing that diet, my panic attacks went away. So I still had phobias that I had developed, but panic attacks were gone. Why would I want to go back to suffering when it's not that hard to just not eat a bagel, you know? So anyway, think about your idea of discipline, and if you feel like you're forcing yourself and if you're guilting yourself, that's a clue that you're doing it in a way that is hard. It's a painful, hard way to stick to something. If you're like whipping yourself and trying to be perfect and oh no, I did something imperfectly, I've found it's easier for me to actually 100% stick to things when I take the pressure off and I allow myself that freedom of I don't have to do this forever. I don't have to do it perfectly. It's okay if I choose to eat something. That would be my choice in the moment. It's not bad. It's just what I chose. Because I've already seen people on the forums like beating themselves up for eating a tiny little spoon of something that. I mean, come on. Don't feel bad for eating some broccoli. Like it cracks me up. People actually feel bad if they eat broccoli. It's all relative, right? But don't beat yourself up. Just know that like you're making your choices. You're doing what you think is best for you, and that's coming from a place of like love, of taking care of yourself, of trying to fix your problems little by little every day. And so there's no reason to beat yourself up or guilt yourself. Okay. Time for the Shake Shack and the cheese. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll see what happens. Day 7 is complete.